afternoon. The gallery is closed on Wednesday afternoons. Gracie is being interesting here this afternoon. She's trying to cause some trouble here on the table. But we're back. We're here with the vintager, my one and only Jeff, right here at the table. We've been talking about cut glass, and now we're going to switch over and talk about art glass, and particularly we're going to be talking about Robert Held, which we met him many years ago, carried his works and until he retired. And what are you going to tell us about art glass this afternoon, Jeff?
Well, number one, the art glass started off in Europe, and more particularly in Italy. And it was so sought after that the Principality in Italy made them set up on an island to where they could control the production and control the movement of the workers. They didn't want that technology spread throughout Europe.
Wow. Now, when was that? What type of time frame are you talking about there?
That's 1700s.
Oh, okay. Long time ago.
Late 1600s.
Okay.
And
so they were ostracized and sent to an island.
Literally. And it was Murano was the island's name, and of course everybody's familiar with Murano glass. They still make it, and they still make it essentially the same way. Matter of fact, some of the furnaces are exactly the same as they were 300 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, they just rebuild them. Now, the interesting thing is, could we have a Murano operation here in the United States? No. Asha would shut them down in a minute. And I do not know any major art glass maker that hasn't moved from here in the United States to Canada. One of the places, Bahamas is another place. They usually have moved out of the United States, mostly because doing glass work and blowing glass is not a particularly helpful endeavor.
Now, just out of curiosity, what about for small glass blowers, this type of thing?
Oh, I don't believe that it's any major problem. These guys, we're talking have lungs like a whale.
Lungs like a whale.
If you ever wanted to test your diving ability, I'd get a couple of glass blowers, because they have to have lungs about the size of an orca.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea. See, I learned something, and sometimes I think I know things, and I don't. So.
Well, let's just take Robert Held. Robert Held did art glass for 37 years, according to his biography.
Right.
But the thing about Robert Held is that he taught other people.
Yes,
and he had interns.
Yep.
And he had art classes.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he did one, and then Emerald over there would do the next 25.
And so, his name would go on it because he designed it. Yeah.
Right, because he designed it. It was his methodology. He did everything except the actual production.
And he had a school, too. He's had a couple of schools.
He's had at least 3 schools that we know of.
Right.
Vancouver, British Columbia,
Calgary.
Calgary, and of course up here in Asheville.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that he actually learned his craft up there at the Penland School of Crafts in North Carolina.
We do, because we bought from him while he was learning his craft.
Exactly. That was a long time ago. He'd always been into art. He had his love of art from his father, who was a sculptor, even though his dad died when he was only 6. He did give him the basis, and when he went to the University of Southern California. He got some assistantships, and he got some prestigious awards. But he actually learned in 1968 the art of art glass while visiting Penland School of Crafts in North Carolina. And so that's when he returned to Canada and set up schools.
Actually, the biography, like most people's biographies, omit and add things. we knew him when that he would sell the stuff out of the trunk of his car, come by and give us a price when he's on the way down, and maybe it would be $10 when we saw him on the way down to the coast and to the people he sold to, and then what he didn't sell on the way back, it was a $6 item.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun in those days. And the interesting thing was I never saw him drive.
You never saw him drive? No?
His mother drove everywhere that every time we ever saw him, his mother drove, and his mother set the prices.
Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end.
No, those pieces that we bought and sold in those days that were $10s and $20 pieces and $50 pieces are hundreds and $500s and $1,000 pieces now.
Now, he's even been commissioned to do work for Tiffany.
He did Tiffany's work on the art glass, particularly this type with perfumeries and the small scent bottles. He did quite a few of those, and they were all particularly for Tiffany.
Yeah, he's done some beautiful work, and he certainly has perfected his art. Now, the other thing about it, though, somewhere along in there, he got divorced, right?
Yes.
And the problem is that this is where he went into retirement. And now
for 2 years.
For 2 years. Isn't this interesting, folks? And now he's back. He decided he'd go back to it. He's changed some of the stuff the way he's doing it now, though, today.
He's changed it, but he had to change it from the to the aspect that he sold his molds and everything to the college that he was working with. So he had to change them. They're not markedly different, but they are different.
Right.
And the materials are a lot heavier. Let's just go into art glass as such. People have seen lots of glass with color on the glass and things, but you can flash color on the glass.
Just really on the surface?
It's just on the surface, and eventually it will chip, peel, and rub off, and especially scratch off from just rubbing up against anything else. Art glass, the color is all the way through the glass. That's number one. Number two, the different colors on the glass are applique of glass on glass.
So it really melts into the glass.
It's melted right into the glass and bonded into the glass, and then the final stage is polished.
And all while the glass blowing that we see on TV and everything is going on. Is that right?
All the while it's hot.
Hot.
If you look at the side of a glass that's art glass, you'll see ripples. I don't care if it's a round jug like this one or a square one like this one. If you look close enough, you'll see the ripples. And that's the movement of the glass as it's being formed into whatever shape that it's being formed. One of the easiest forms is, of course, the round. That's the traditional one. And his inspiration for his early designs, by the way, were apothecary glass. If you look at this and just imagine it a little smaller, it's nothing more than a medicine bottle colored up and added some decor to.
And all you need is a cork on it there.
All you need is a cork. And if you remember, the original ones we had
a cork.
Had a cork.
Yep.
So his inspiration originally was the apothecary bottles that were blown from the early 1700s all the way up to the 1920s for pharmaceutical supplies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So this is now prices today on Robert Held. I mean, look at this piece. You wanted to talk, I think, a little bit about that piece right there. That's a really unique piece.
This particular design with the tulips, he did actually for a casino in Las Vegas. And in the casino is these huge chandeliers that are formed from art glass. I mean, we're talking things that are 10, 12 feet wide that weigh 3 or 4 tons, 6,000 pounds
Right.
of chandelier. And one of the themes that the owner of the casino wanted was tulips.
Okay.
And this was the result of it.
Wow.
This particular piece, new, sold for about $2,000.
Wow.
How about that?
What do we have on it?
About 900.
About 900. And we are getting ready to tell you about a special on art glass this week at Sharp Facets Gallery and on cut glass. But let's hear a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. And don't turn that dial, because we got specials and we got more info from my sweetie, the one and only Jeff Eller, the Vintager, right here on WCRS.